Saturday, November 7th, 2020. Lately, some of us have been finding it almost impossible to get through to those who have opposing views. It's fair to say that in the Western world, if not the entire world, people have chosen to waver the ability of having a productive, thought-provoking conversation with someone who will challenge their views. We used to welcome this. How did that happen? There was a time of courtesy, chivalry, where humans would engage in discussion just about any topic without seeing the other person as the enemy, without dusting off the old pitchforks and nailing dissenters to the wall. There was a time when people sought the company of those who had fundamentally different perspectives about the world and global events, but who could argue in favor of those with almost inspiring insight. So how did we come to this? How did we come to not be able to hold a discussion without fighting one another? Many will argue that it's all because of the rise of racism, xenophobia, and homophobia, and this is almost always attributed to the rise of right-wing political thought. But I dare you, each and any one of you, to produce objective evidence that these phobias and extreme biases are in fact promoted by right-wing politics. In fact, in trying to do that, the unbiased researcher will find more objective evidence that it was and is, in fact, the current manifestation of left-wing political thought that has been promoting social division on the grounds of race, cultural background, sexual orientation, or political persuasion. How? Precisely by strengthening the perception that these problems are not only still prevalent and systemic, but on the rise when the data, quite simply, does not support that. On the contrary, it unquestionably refutes this artificially reanimated social issue that we have long left behind. These things I know because I have done the work to know them. I don't have secret inside sources that grant me access to privileged information. All I have is drive, an internet connection, and the ability to think critically. These are my weapons, and what great weapons they are. Access to information is the strongest weapon of all, and the ability to critically interpret said information is what strong societies are built on because it relies on collaboration. Why else would there be such a push today to silence dissent and promote and prioritize centralized, curated, authoritative information, if not to manipulate society's perception of the world around them? Perception drives action. This is a war on perception of reality, one that actively corrupts objective reality in order to let those in so-called power to keep their so-called power. No one can demand power over another. One only has power over another if the other grants it. This is true of the ordinary man or woman, and it is true of the highest-ranking politician. If the collective mind didn't acknowledge the power that another single person or institution has, they would indeed be absolutely powerless. I'm not in favor of this delusional bipartisan understanding of the world. I do not subscribe to right-wing politics, and I do not subscribe to left-wing politics. So to all of those who will immediately disavow my contribution to the conversation as one of these polarized ideologies, be forewarned. You are not only wrong, you are absolutely wrong, and your insistence otherwise only illustrates how narrow your intellectual landscape is. Grow the fuck up. The world isn't black and white. There aren't only good opinions or bad opinions. In fact, there is a whole wide range of opinions, too many to count, categorize, and compartmentalize in your infantile, boxed, neatly organized thought drawer. The landscape of opinions is not organized. It's actually closer to chaos, and that only makes it all the more beautiful. So stop your fucking whining whenever someone has a different view. Grow a fucking conscience, and maybe you'll find yourself learning something new from those who you constantly shun, silence, push, beat, burn, or ignore. Maybe then, and only then, you'll find yourself being enriched, your mind broadened just a little, but just enough to want more. And maybe then, and only then, you'll actually become a valuable member of society. Yes, the one that we've been building for millennia, the one we've bled and died for, and they're all the tribulations this world has thrown upon us. No, we're not perfect. Stop fucking whining. We are what we are. We did what we needed to do to survive against insurmountable odds. And yes, we did a lot of shit on the way. Shit that we'll have to carry forever, but shit that, guess what, is all in the fucking past. Have you noticed how we've been acknowledging the mistakes we made and moving past them? Have you noticed how we keep changing toward equality? How it's not perfect, nor will it ever be, but we keep trying to get there? We're better off today than we were yesterday, and I challenge you to challenge that idea. If you won't stop to think about it for more than the immediate fucking instant that your biases kick in, if you won't take the time to entertain that idea and find an objective way to refute it, then, dear listener, you are part of the problem. Ignorance manifests itself in at least two ways. One, not knowing something, which is easily fixed by merely acquiring the knowledge that's lacking. And two, not wanting to know something. And this is one that can't be fixed from the outside. No, this one is your problem. And until you realize you are actively rejecting another possible scenario than the one that you already decided to accept, you are part of the problem. Access to ideas means access to knowledge, even if you reject the idea with solid arguments, because that means you've taken the time to contemplate the idea, you've argued for it and against it, and now, having gone through the fire of intellectual minutiae, it will either fade or endure. There isn't only right or wrong, black or white, 0 and 1. We are a complex mess of things trying to find significance through the chaos, and we won't make it alone. If it takes 7 billion individual tries, we will fail at this endeavor we call evolution. But through collaboration, cooperation, joint effort, we will, as we've always done, endure and live to talk about it. You are only alone once, when you choose what to do about it. Grow the fuck up, and meet me on the other side.